Hello, I'm Dan West with the Livonia Chamber of Commerce, and it's our latest cyber edition of CityScape, our regular series of video chats about people, places, and ideas that impact Livonia. Sports and business are very similar, as both are competitive and command determination and perseverance to achieve success. Today, we have an opportunity to talk to one of Detroit's sports coaches, as many of his messages to his team are relevant to all of us in the business world. We are honored to welcome the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Jeff Blashill. Coach, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Jeff, what have you been doing with your time off during the suspension of the National Hockey League season?
Yeah, well, when the season first paused, like everybody else, there was unknowns into the how long this was going to be, and so I've had a chance probably both professionally and personally to do some different things. Professionally, when it first started, I had the opportunity to go back and really look at my own foundational beliefs as a coach and see if there was any need or cause for reset and examine the things that are really important to me. You know, when you're coaching and the world's going 100 miles an hour, sometimes you don't get a chance to step back and look from above. And so this pause has given me that opportunity to look both at my own personal foundational beliefs and as well as our hockey team. And so that part I think has been great. I've had other opportunities to be on the phone be on Zoom calls like this with a lot of different coaches, really just information gathering, finding different ideas, picking different guys' brains, finding things and seeing what's applicable to me. Done that with a number of different, whether it's a setting where there's 40 coaches on the call or a setting where there's 2 coaches on the call. And, it's given, again, good opportunity to see if there's areas for growth. I think the most important part in those things is that you don't copy and paste and that you find something that's particular that you can apply in your own setting. I've had opportunities with our staff and our players to both review the season up till this point and to look ahead. Look ahead if we get started again, look ahead to next year, plan for both of those types of scenarios. And so, that part's been good. Personally, it's really, honestly, Dan, in a lot of ways been a blessing to be able to spend time with my family. I have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and between them and my wife, we've been able to do things that we don't normally get a chance to do as a family. And so I'll look back on this time, and there'll be parts of it that were definitely tragic, but that part of it has been a blessing for us that we've been able to spend family time going on walks, spend family time watching movies, all those types of things that you normally don't get a chance to do.
Sounds like you just tried to make the most of the time for personal and professional development and a time you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Correct. That's really been the gist of it. And it is a unique, you don't normally get this type of opportunity, in both really avenues. Professionally, you don't get a chance to really reflect like that very often. And so we've tried to maximize that time. I think the challenge in these times is being disciplined and making sure that you wake up. Early in this process, I had to realize you really got to kind of set a schedule and keep yourself disciplined and find ways to make sure that you don't let days go by and that you're productive in those days, but not doing it to a level where you need to increase your stress. It should be a more stress-free time if possible, when you can. So we've been able to enjoy it, but also I think be productive.
Many business professionals in our community are anxious, away from their normal routines, as you just discussed with yourself, and dealing with uncertainty with all the shutdowns in recent weeks. I'm sure you've dealt with players in the same situation on the ice. What is your message to them as we near reopening of businesses?
Well, these are certainly unprecedented times, and as a coaching staff, as those that work in the NHL, put us in spots we've never been in before. Well, it's no different in businesses, and so the biggest thing that I would say is preparedness. And there's so many unknowns out there, and you can't control the unknowns. You can't control the outside environment. So you have to focus on what you can control, and that's your own preparedness and going through a whole bunch of series of what ifs. If we start next week, if we're able to go back to business next week, what do we do? If this happens, if it's 2 weeks, what's that look like? Being as prepared as possible in trying to imagine every different potential situation that could come about, I think will help you be able to handle those decision-making processes. Decision-making is difficult when the pressure's increased. And so as you get back into situations where maybe the pressure starts to increase, the more you've gone through a series of what ifs, the better chance that you can make those decisions soundly. And it's no different than when we go into a hockey game, we're going to have to make a whole bunch of decisions, and we're going to have to make them on the fly. But we don't just make them as we go. We've made those decisions ahead of time based on the different scenarios we might face. And so whatever that scenario is, hopefully we've already had that, okay, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. And that allows your decision-making to be much more sound and to have much more clarity than if you do it when the world is swirling around you. So I think preparedness would be my number one advice.
As we return to work, we cannot make up for several weeks of missed business quickly, just like you cannot come back from a 3-goal deficit in one shift. Talk about the importance of staying focused, one step at a time, when embarking on any kind of big project.
Well, I'm a big believer in this, and I'm a big believer that, you don't accomplish great things with a giant leap. And I think sometimes that's made out in the media and sports, like that's what happens in sports. It's not what happens in sports, and it's certainly not what happens in business. You accomplish great things with little steps forward. And ultimately, you're going to take a whole bunch of little steps as you get back to running your business, as you get back to me running our team. We're going to try to take a whole bunch of little steps in the right direction, knowing that we're going to get knocked back a few times. At the end of the day, at the end of every day, you have to look at and say, okay, how many steps forward did we make compared to how many steps backward? Are we making steps forward towards our goal, whatever that goal might be? I'm a big believer, and I say this lots, that you have to focus on the process. The process, whatever that is, of having success. Results will always follow good process. And, I know I live this in sports, that sometimes you end up becoming results oriented. And if you're results oriented, you won't be good for a long period of time. You can't withstand those knockbacks, those times where you get knocked back. But if you focus on process and you're just focused on doing the right thing over and over and over and over and over again, you'll get to that end result, and that end result will be positive.
So, Coach, thank you very much for taking this opportunity to talk with us today. I really appreciate your insights with it. Like I said, what you say in sports is really relevant to the business world as well. And good luck with you and the team when you get back to work.
Thanks, Dan.
So we appreciate everyone for watching this episode of CityScape, and we'll see everyone next time.